Strategy Battle gamers around the world, welcome to yet another There and Back Again special video. You are here with your GBHL channel host, GBHL James.
And GBHL Steve.
And of course this is part of our There and Back Again week, fortnight, month, who knows, we're probably going to be going on about it for ages. For absolutely ages. If you haven't already checked out our There and Back Again review of Good Heroes Part 1 and Part 2, those have been videos done by Steve and myself. All of the other GBHL channel hosts will be covering other areas of the book, and I'm sure you're going to see them as and when. You can also see me talk about various parts of There and Back Again myself, of my own opinion on anything I don't on these videos, over on Hot Gates Gaming, so get subbing. What are we talking about in this video though, Steve?
The army list.
I was keen to talk about these on video. I was keen. So, for those of you that weren't aware, have been living in a hole or just coming back into the game, I think the SBG has been crying out for a reward or some way of rewarding players for taking thematic, fluffy army lists that ring true with the book and the movies. Would you agree?
I would agree, yeah.
Yeah. And that is something that we have seen with There and Back In, which is incredibly exciting.
Yeah.
It's so exciting. Let's start off with the first one. Okay, so we have got Erebor Reclaimed. Erebor Reclaimed. Now I would like to point out as well, what we're not going to be talking about is the appendix army list. The appendix, scenarios, profiles, and everything in there, that's going to be being talked about by Tom and Damien, I believe.
Yeah.
Tom and Damien are going to be talking about that. We're just going to be talking about the bits at the front. Okay, so we've got Erebor Reclaimed. This army may include Thorin Oakenshield King on the Mountain, Keeley, basically all of the champions of Erebor. All of the champions of Erebor are in there. And then also included is Dane Ironfoot, Iron Hills Captains, Iron Hills Dwarves, and Iron Hills Goat Riders. And Ballista will be in there as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so well, there we go. That's...
Makes complete sense.
Makes sense. That's what we see in the movies. That's what you see, of course, coming out of the mountain, and what you see coming down towards as reinforcements and the like. He even says here there's a little bit of fluff with all the army lists. Thorin Oakenshield has reclaimed his birthright. He now sits upon the throne of Erebor as king. So it talks about how he's called for aid from Dane, and it's basically that army, isn't it? It's all the dwarves that you see in the Battle of the Five Armies, and they come with an Erebor Reclaimed special rule.
The Erebor Reclaimed special rule is, if your army consists solely of models from the Erebor Reclaimed army list, then all dwarves from this army list gain the Dubakar special rule.
Dubakar. So Dubakar is a special rule that we see with the champions of Erebor, isn't it?
Yep.
And what's it do?
It's basically a banner reroll within 6 inches. Of
Thorin basically counts the banner for any of these guys within 6 inches of him. That's pretty good.
Including Dane.
Absolutely, that's a very, very, very good point. All dwarves from this army list gain the Dubakar special rule. All of them. I didn't even think about that.
That's why I'm here, mate. Filling the gaps.
I thought you were just here to look good. That is amazing. A banner reroll within 6 inches of him, and it makes good, fluffy, thematic sense as well. It's not just an overpowered rule. It's a little tweak. It's not going to break the army.
No.
They're not going to become broken. You're not going to look at them and think, wow, that's the game changer. But it's enough to make a bit of a difference in the game. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it is going to come into play quite a bit. It's like you say, it's not a game changer, but it will come into play because I think the way the Iron Hills are set up to be played is to be kept close together. So if you've got Thorin in and around the centre, you know, you're in a good spot. And
it makes sense that they would fight better, for their new king under the mountain.
To the king, as they say.
To the king, exactly. So a nice little special rule there, which, is going to make a bit of a difference in games, absolutely. And, let us know in the comments below. Will it encourage you to make sure that your champions of Erebor and your Erebor Reclaimed are all just one list, or are you still going to be looking to ally there? Some people might want to do a Battle of Five Armies allies. Who knows? Next up, we've actually got, it becomes a little bit more specific.
Yeah.
In fact, a good point on this actually is, and I'm not sure whether this is something that would need to be errated, it might be intentional, but we mentioned Iron Hills Ballistae on that. It's not actually listed. So maybe Iron Hills Ballista isn't part of Erebor Reclaimed. I imagine it would be. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be. Yeah, I don't see any, but it's actually listed on the Iron Hills here. Because the next list that we're going to talk about is the Iron Hills, and that is everything that you imagine. So who's in it? We've got
this army may include Dane Ironfoot, obviously, Lord of the Iron Hills, Iron Hills Captains, Iron Hill Dwarves, Iron Hill Goat Riders, Iron Hill Chariots, and Iron Hills Ballistae.
So let's pick that out again. I'm thinking that it's maybe intentional.
Yeah, I thought as I read it.
I think it's intentional. I think that Erebor Reclaimed, you don't get the bonus if you take Chariots or Ballistae, but if you just take a pure Iron Hills army, you do. So very, very subtle there.
Yeah.
But I now think that that's intentional. I don't think that is an errata thing. And I think that's maybe to reflect that this is just the pure standing army of the Iron Hills, rather than what you see outside the gates in Erebor.
Yeah.
Very, very cool rules for it though.
The Iron Hills special rule. If your army consists solely of models from the Iron Hills army list, then you, in scenarios where you roll for additional forces to arrive, such as those that use the reinforcements rule, you may modify your own reinforcement rolls by +1 or -1. In scenarios where you roll to see which part of the board your warbands deploy in, you may modify the dice by +1 or -1 also.
Again, now that isn't game breaking, but that is incredibly useful.
It's very useful. How many times do you use might for them specific reasons with your heroes?
Sometimes mighting down so that your opponent can't put you on.
And you see it in like when it happens to me, I see it as a waste of might, even though it's not, because you know it's stopping you being put in a position you don't want to be in. But I see it as a waste of might, so that is good.
Completely agree with you. So you know, all of a sudden, hold ground. These guys are actually going to be pretty good. They're going to be pretty good, and it is a very useful rule. It's a very useful rule. It just means you can stop yourself from coming on. But it also means that you know your opponents aren't going to get much, and it reflects the movie.
Yeah, I think it reflects that force because they're very organised.
They're very organised, but it's also the fact that they turn up just at the right point.
Where they want to be. Yeah,
they turn up at the right point. You know, in the movies and in the books as well. So a really, really nice little special rule there to reflect Dane Ironfoot and his army of Iron Hills Dwarves. Very, very interesting that the Chariot and the Ballistae are included in this, but not in the Erebor Reclaimed. We think that that's definitely intentional now, having looked at that. That's a nice one. I really like that. Now Thranduil's Halls as an army list. It actually this was a rule that they had before. This was a special rule they had before.
Yes.
So they have retained that Mirkwood Rangers in warbands led by Legolas, Thranduil or Mirkwood Rangers captains do not count towards your force's bow limit. So basically the 100% bow rule with Mirkwood Rangers, you know, that...
suits elves.
It does suit elves. It does suit elves. Now it's been a really interesting sort of bit of commentary. Recently I think I've seen Tom and Damien talking about how, you know, when people saw these guys originally...
Yeah.
And what elves will 100% shoot in, it's going to be broken, that kind of thing.
Point? Yeah, it's going to kill everything, yeah.
But you know, I think the fact that they have to take the Elven Cloak is a nice balancing factor because they are expensive. 14 points. I actually thought that we might see Mirkwood Rangers either like come down a point maybe, or get I don't know. Or because in Desolation of Smaug there are a lot of it feels like some of the not necessarily the profiles, but there's a lot of things about woods behaving differently, aren't there?
Yeah.
Like, because it's about Mirkwood, isn't it? And of course, they definitely become viable if they're in a Havenwood and they're getting +1 defence, you know, stuff like that, and resistant to magic or whatever else. So I wondered whether they would include anything like that, but they didn't. So Thranduil's Halls is the same.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much the same. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good rule.
It is a good rule. I think, like, you know, going on from what you said about them staying the same cost and everything like that, within that list, other things are slightly cheaper. So as long as you're not pure rangers, you can sort of level it out.
Of course you can.
You may see more now.
You may do.
They're on my painting list.
Yeah, well, they're in my painting drawer. Partly painted, actually. I love the models. They're some of the nicest plastic models
and
in the range.
Like some of the earlier ones, weren't they, as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So next up, we're going to come to two army lists, which, you know, if you've seen part 2, reviewing the good heroes, these are very competitive armies, I think. We've got the Army of Lake Town, one of your favourites.
Yeah, the Army of Lake Town. The Army of Lake Town may include Bard the Bowman, Master of Lake Town, Alfred the Counsellor, Braga, Captain of the Guard, Bane, Son of Bard, Sigrid and Tilda, Lake Town Guard Captains, and Lake Town Guard. And the special rule is...
If your army consists solely of models from the Army of Lake Town army list, then the range of the Master of Lake Town's money bag special rule is increased to 12 inches. So, 12 inches either side, that's 24 inches in total. Basically, your whole army probably
really good.
Is going to be able to be fight for.
Yeah.
If you do that in key turns against certain forces, that is actually really useful.
Really, really good. Really good. And if he's buffed by Alfred,
yes,
he can do it multiple.
Yeah, and he's probably now going to be a target for Alfred in particular battle reports, particular battles in particular, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the army of Lake Town. That's the army of Lake Town. It's a decent little army. Bard the Bowman, good leader. You got the Master in there who's doing his buffing. You've got Alfred doing his buffing. Braga in there. He's got some cool special rules as well. Bane, Sigrid Tilda, but you don't have some of the others. In the buffing, which is really interesting. You don't have some of those new profiles. They actually become part of a different army list, which is Survivors of Lake Town.
Yep, the Survivors of Lake Town. This army may include Bard the Bowman, Bane, Sigrid and Tilda, Percy, Hilda Bianca, Alfred, Bilbo Baggins, Gandalf the Grey, and the Lake Town Militia Captains and the Lake Town Militia.
Wow, now that's really good. I think that's a pretty good army.
Yeah.
Straight away, yep, you've got your big hero. The fact that you can take Gandalf in there with your blinding light, you've got Percy buffing there. Touch. Gandalf in there is a nice touch. He's going to be buffing. He's going to be giving the blinding light, of course. And then you've got Percy who's buffing the shooting as well. You say that Hilda for the +1 to wound.
Yep.
It's a good army. It's a pretty good army. But they get a good special rule as well. If your army consists solely of models from the Survivors of Lake Town army list, and Bard the Bowman Standfast will affect other heroes from this list as well as warriors.
I think that's immense.
Yeah.
I think that's immense. I think it's really good.
It's a big thing because you don't really want these low courage heroes which are buffing your army. You don't want them running away.
No, I think it's really good.
So no longer are you having to take Standfast for them as well. If you can, if you make sure that Bard is there.
Yep. One courage test and everyone's sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it's really, really, really good. So that's the Survivors of Lake Town. Now, just out of interest, which way do you think you're going to go?
I'll probably mix it up. If I had to choose out of the two, I'd probably go Survivors.
Yeah. So no Alfred, no Master.
Yeah, I'd
no Braga.
I've been the Master, but I do have all the models, so I'll probably do a mix of the two and forfeit the special rule on some occasions. But Bard's 12-inch Standfast appeals to me more, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know though, yeah, because like you say, whacking them up to fight for...
I think that you're probably going to see a mixture still of those. But, it is still, the special rules are still good.
That's it. The beauty of them is, apart from special rules you get from going just a pure one or the other, there's enough special rules within the characters that you get so much anyway. Yeah,
I would agree with that.
So yeah, I'll probably mix it up.
I would absolutely agree with that. So next up we've got the White Council. This army may include Saruman the Wise, Gandalf the Grey, Radagast the Brown, Galadriel Lady of Light and Elrond Lord of the West. The following models from the Free People's Sourcebook may also be chosen as part of the White Council: Círdan, Glorfindel, Erestor, Arwen and Celeborn. What do you notice there straight away? Thranduil's not there.
Yeah, Thranduil's not there. Even the old Thranduil.
Thranduil is not there.
Is that basically saying that it doesn't say that new Thranduil profile replaces?
Well, he's not in the White Council, is he? We don't see him in the movies in the White Council in the Hobbit era, so I don't think that replaces anything in the old. It's basically stamping down and saying, look, this is the White Council of the Hobbit era.
Yeah.
This is what you can do. If you're going to take these ones, then you can take these ones.
Yeah.
But they're not one and the same.
Yeah.
You've got two different things. And maybe what we'll see is later on down the line, if anything is revisited, perhaps we'll see those things merged.
Yeah.
But yep, everything is still the same here, pretty much.
This is a really cool rule.
It is a very good rule.
It's it's a really strong rule as well, I think.
The White Council army may only include a single warband. Unlike usual model limit of hero plus 12 warriors, the White Council includes only heroes up to a maximum of 10. Additionally, if your army consists solely of models from the White Council army list, a member of the White Council adds +1 to the dice roll when attempting to resist magic, so long as they're another member of the White Council within 6. You couple that with Galadriel,
That's...
Fortified Spirit, and you've got Saruman in there as well.
Yeah, that's basically saying, come at me.
But it's basically
do what
saying
you want.
You're not really going to out-magic them.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's saying, and it is good. It makes sense.
Yeah, it's
It
the White
makes
Council.
sense. They are the White Council, and that's how it should be. I really like the rules for the White Council.
Yeah.
I think that they work. Yes, it's powerful. It's not broken. It is powerful in isolation when looking at it. Obviously, in terms of the game, with anything, there are so many other factors that you've got to think.
Yeah, I mean,
consider.
you know, you're using a lot less in number, so that's
Absolutely.
against you from the get-go. You've got a very strong force, but, you know, domination you're going to struggle.
Absolutely, exactly. Now, one that is really interesting and very good actually, and it makes this viable, is Radagast Alliance. So we've seen Radagast Alliance before, and the army may include Radagast the Brown riding Great Eagle, Beorn, Gwahir, and Great Eagles. Radagast Alliance army special rule, if you just take those, absolutely 100% is there for your Eagles and Gwahir.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that it's pretty common knowledge that, you know, they can do well. They can do well. There are people that have done well with them, but generally, you know, they tend to get immobilised out of the game. And people often say, well, why don't they get +1 attack and when they charge and knockdowns and the like. If your army consists solely of models from Radagast Alliance army list, then all models in your army have the resistant to magic special rule.
Yeah, I think it's a good rule.
Well, I think Radagast had it anyway. I believe Radagast has it anyway. I'll have just a quick.
I don't know if he does.
Oh, no, he doesn't.
No, I don't think
Oh
he
wow. Wow, I didn't realise that. Well, Beorn has it.
does. Yeah, was it?
Beorn has it, so that means that Radagast gets it, which is good.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But more importantly, I think Gwahir and the Eagles get resistance to magic.
So you've got bog standard Eagles get the chance to resist, which is really good.
Yeah, you know, because no longer is your opponent going to sort of be like, oh, just one dice, I mobilise that Eagle.
Yeah.
On a 2+ or a